Let's say Vampire Survivors introduced you into the reverse bullet hell or horde survival genre, and maybe lately Halls of Torment also got you hooked and now you're looking for more games. Well, then this list will be perfect for you, because I will present to you some other game titles that you may want to check out, and I will always have a playlist linked to the videos uploaded to my channel in case you just want to give it a quick look. The first game on this list is an absolute masterpiece called HoloCure, a fan game based on the HoloLive VTubers. In case you don't know what that is, those are the people that use the avatars that represent their movement and facial features and stuff like that. And the game is absolutely incredible. Believe it or not, it's completely free, except that you pay with your soul, because you kinda get pulled into a rabbit hole that it's really hard to escape out of.
Let's go!
But Caillou has done an absolutely amazing job with this game, and in less than a month there will be a huge update that adds a lot of new content to the game. The game is more heavily focused on a per character basis, meaning depending on what character you pick, your run will look very different. Not only is the weapon unique that no one else can have when you pick a character, but also skills and an ultimate skill that you can use. And for the rest of the weapons, you can get evolutions. They are obtained by fusing two weapons with each other, though you need to know how that works. And if you want to have more characters, then you use the coins that you earn in the game in the gacha system available to you. The more often you get a certain character, the more they get upgraded with unique features as well as stat bonuses. And honestly, there's so much I could say about this game, but in roughly 1 month the Steam version will be out, so if you're looking for a new game, then definitely put this on your list. Next up we have Soulstone Survivors, and that game is one where you take a look at it and think, boah, there's a lot going on, man. The game has a ginormous skill tree where you can unlock additional bonuses per character, as well as a ginormous rune system where you can pick certain runes depending on what you want to do. And okay, like, listen, there is so much that you can do in this game, it's really hard to say what the game is really about, like what you can expect out of a run. But all in all, if you like really crazy runs where you start small and you end up incredibly big, and if you're a fan of min-maxing or planning out a run that you can achieve a whole new level of craziness, then this game is definitely right for you. A main feature in this game is that you either go endless, where you fight as many enemies as possible, or in a certain type of boss rush, where the bosses appear faster and faster every single time you go through the stages. And it all comes down to how well you prepared for the run, but also how lucky you got with certain upgrades that you got, if you'll be able to beat them and how far you get. In this game there's also a heavy focus on what character you pick, because you start with certain bonuses as well as unique weapons, but especially nowadays with the addition of the skill tree, there's a ginormous difference depending on who you play, so it really feels like you're playing an entirely different game depending on what character you picked. Switching it up from absolute chaos into controlled chaos, we have Brotato, a game you probably heard of because it was quite successful so far. Every character has passive effects or bonuses tied to them, so for example, one of them may increase the amount of range damage that you get whenever you pick range damage, while others, they will get explosion size whenever you pick elemental damage. There's a wide variety which allows you to play through unique runs, even though you're technically playing exactly the same game again and again. And since some characters are more broken than others, if luck plays in your favor, you will end up with absolutely insane runs. All in all, your game experience is heavily tied to your own experience, so the more you know about the game, the better the runs will go, but also the more focused you can be on particular runs. So for example, the run that you see in the background right now is by a character named Cloud, and he spawns more enemies, so we use a weapon where if we kill more enemies we get more attack speed, and if you then focus on additional items that also spawn more enemies, you will quite have a crazy run ahead of you. The main difference to other games on this list is that you don't get any weapons or items just by leveling up and selecting them, but instead you have a shopping phase after every wave that you've defeated, and then you will spend the material that you've gotten out of the previous waves to buy new weapons and new items. What's also new in this game is that weapons have tiers, so it goes from tier 1 to tier 4, but not every single weapon is on every single tier. So some of them only start at the 2nd tier or the 3rd tier or the 4th tier, which are usually way more powerful weapons. All in all, the game pretty much considers average luck for the balance of its characters, and that means if you just play often enough with a certain goal in mind, you can have some utterly crazy runs where you can completely break the game. But I would say for most people the challenge is to beat the game on the highest difficulty, which is danger level 5 on every single character. At this point you may feel a little bit exhausted with all this fine-tuning, min-maxing and craziness that is going on, so how about we take a step back with Bounty of 1. In this game you also have multiple characters, but they start with a legendary ability that every other character can also obtain. So the main difference is just a slight passive boost that they get in the very beginning, as well as of course starting with these legendaries, but every other character can also obtain them. The main goal in this game is to participate in the in-game leaderboard, where it's about killing as many enemies as possible, but if you just want to have fun you can go for endless mode. It continues after you defeated the final boss, where your goal is to just take it as far as possible, or well, if you play the game enough then you also figure out certain ways that literally make you invulnerable and allow you to keep going forever. Personally speaking, I really like this game because it just allows me to think a little bit less and just play the game, you know, which for my taste is not on the same level as the other games, as in I get way more excited in them, but whenever I need a mental break and just want to enjoy another horde survival, then Bounty of 1 is definitely the perfect pick. In general, similar to Brotato, you have different tiers, but here not for weapons, here it is for passive, so for example attack speed or damage, and you obviously want to have high tier upgrades to get a huge bonus since you're limited in level ups. But whenever you defeat a boss, you will get a unique ability, where some of them are just minor bonuses and others are completely crazy, like for example where your projectile bounce off the wall of the screen, or where you have a ginormous nuke to deal with the enemies, and many other things. All in all, I would say compared to the other games, you will play this game probably less, but you will appreciate the simplicity in comparison to the other games when you just want to turn off your mind and have a fun run. Now, next up on the list we have a new release. It's called Yet Another Zombie Survivors, and I didn't expect anything out of that. It has blown up quite a lot recently on YouTube, and when I played it I thought, okay, it's a shooter mix with zombies, you know, two things that I don't really like all too much, so maybe the game is good but I'll not enjoy it. Yeah, well, about that. Okay, I played it a lot, it's a lot of fun and I can't stop playing it. All in all, the main difference is that you don't have multiple weapons, instead you can have multiple squad members. So you start with 1, you can go up to 3, and whatever you select means you have different weapons as well as abilities, and the more you play a certain character as a leader, the more upgrades you will have to the weapon. While playing the game you will collect money, which translates into points that you can then spend on permanent upgrades, but the main appeal is that you can have totally different setups depending on what upgrades you have, as well as the squad members that you put together, and some of these things even end in endless runs where it's impossible for you to die. The game is placed high up on my watch list, where I really hope that there will be amazing updates, though even now the game has a bunch of stuff that you can go through and already have a huge amount of fun with. Next up we have 20 minutes till dawn, and this game goes back to a heavy character focus, where not only the unique effect is very important, but also certain boss loots that you get in the game are unique to your character and absolutely insane. You can freely choose a starting weapon that you want to go for, but with some characters they just work a lot better, while for others they are almost unplayable. And in the game, whenever you level up, you get a choice of a trait, which has 4 level ups in total, and usually a trait always follows a theme. So for example, something is always for reloading, another thing is always for summon damage, etc. If you combine certain of these traits, though you need to know the synergies, you will get a legendary upgrade, which usually has a huge amount of stats for whatever you're aiming for. And the main goal in this game is just to kill as many enemies as possible while surviving the normal mode. If you're tired of that, you can just go up in difficulty, since every single time you beat a difficulty you unlock the next one, and if you just want to have fun, then you can go for endless mode, where you can pick every single trait 3 times instead of just 1. As you can imagine, on some characters that were already really good in a particular field in the survival mode, they will go quite crazy here, and you can lag out your game so much that it turns unplayable. Though all in all, the main appeal is that you figure out what character works best with what runes. Yes, the game also has runes that you buy with the in-game currency, and then what weapons are the best to use alongside with that. For some fresh wind, we have Genesia, where the story mode follows a map where you go from point to point that you choose, and based on that you get different things offered to you, though in the end most of the stuff that you obtain from level ups or that you buy in the shop are still similar to other runs, but your decisions pretty much change the path of whatever you're taking in the game. I know that is not the most precise description, but honestly you just need to play it to understand what I'm talking about. Alternatively, you can also play endless mode. This one is more carefree, where it's all about you have a certain plan or things that you want to go for. If you don't get them, then you just reset, and when you finally manage to get them, then boy oh boy, you will have a crazy run ahead of you. The game is split up into 2 main parts, one being the weapons that you choose, and you can evolve some of them into very powerful weapons, while the other part are unique traits that you can obtain. They also differ in rarity, or rather what effect they have, and while some of them are not that strong and just give a minor bonus, others of them will completely break the game and allow you to take things to the absolute extremes. If you feel a little bit exhausted by other games taking up a huge amount of time and not providing you with a break, then this game in the story mode is probably the best thing to go for as an alternative, since a single stage usually lasts between 30 seconds to 2 minutes. After that you'll receive a reward for beating this point on the map, and then you can move to the next one. Just like most other games, the game also has permanent upgrades, though this one focuses on it a little bit more than others, which also means the more you play, the more you get rewarded. Alongside with that, the achievements play a major role in this game, where you want to look up what they do and plan out how to get them, since they will unlock new weapons, evolutions and new traits. And the main appeal for me is just this difference in the main stage, that you kind of seem to repeat the same stuff, but every single time you have a minor upgrade, until you then get to take down the bosses. Then you go up in levels and in difficulty and keep going, and even though a normal run on the base difficulty will probably take around 20 minutes, I would say, a run on the highest difficulty can easily exceed an hour. As the final entry on this list, I have Death Must Die, and the thing is, there are way more games, but there are only so much that I want to cover here, so if you want to check out more, just go for the playlist on my channel, because I cover all kinds of horde survivals. There's just something really appealing about this game that I can't quite put into words, where it combines the goddesses and god traits out of Hades, so they are in a particular field, like for example fire or shadows or stuff like that, together with the horde survival genre. The focus here is a little bit more on equipment, which you farm up by defeating certain enemies, as well as different characters that you can play that have entirely different weapons, as well as a perk system that you unlock over time, and these have a major impact, since for example you may shoot an additional bullet while you started with 1, now you have 2. The rest of that is mainly dependent on what god or goddess shows up and what kind of traits you get out of those level ups. As of right now, the game is only available in the demo version. That means, hey, how about you check it out and see if it's something for you. And sadly, the final fight in the game is a rather lackluster boss fight, but I would say it's a good time to just see, do you like it, do you not like it, do you want to see more, and maybe you'll join me alongside in the boat to wait for future updates. So that was it for this video. As I said, there are way more playlists on my channel, you can just go over them if you feel like it. And obviously, if you haven't checked out Vampire Survivors or Halls of Torment, which were mentioned in the beginning, I highly recommend that, because they are just amazing games. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. See you the next time.